Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good? Where you at? Where my people at? It's your boy, the Ultimate Rage, coming back with yet another live. So, before we get started, make sure you check out the Ultimate Rage pretty much on all social media at the Ultimate Rage, Twitter, Instagram, freaking Rumble, Snapchat, whatever. I'm the Ultimate Rage. However, follow my TikTok at the Ultimate Rage 9 and at the Ultimate Rage 079. And then make sure you check out the Ultimate Rage Outrageous EP, available on all streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, YouTube Music. Pretty much wherever there's music, I'm there. Um, and then, fuck it, let's get into it. Basically, we're here to talk about what exactly is the purpose of humanity. What exactly is the meaning of life for humanity? Not just for our individual lives, but overall, what are the goals? What is the ultimate goal that we should be striving to achieve as human beings? See, we get so caught up in our own individual lives. We get so caught up in, our jobs, our families, our own personal goals that we have, that we don't take a step back to think about what exactly do we want to achieve as a human race. What exactly is it that we want to accomplish as people? If we look at the ultimate goal, if we take things to their logical conclusion, what exactly is it that we collectively as a human race are trying to achieve? So let's start with the fact of the small things, right? Let's look at the short term. Like, we have all these different issues with climate change. We have issues of crime, violent crime, all these different things that we have to deal with on the local, city, state, country, global level, that we should be focused on trying to shore up so that we can have a much more well-functioning society, right? I don't think anybody could deny that at the end of the day, we should be trying to make our planet a safer, more secure, a more cleaner environment, such that we can all live and not have to worry about our health and our wellness. That at least the very basics can be taken care of. Now, obviously, when it comes to the specifics, when it comes to the actual methodologies for how we accomplish this is where we start to get into very murky waters. That's why we have the political system we have and the different political positions that people have, the two major parties here in America, and all the different parliamentary systems and whatnot elsewhere. But I do believe we can all agree that, at least in the short term, we want to create a world that is safe, where all of our basic needs can be met, so we don't have to worry about contending with each other to accrue resources, because there's plenty to go around for everyone. Not just the 1%, not just for a certain group of people, but for all of us. But let's look at the longer term goals. Let's look at the big picture here. So, for one, when we look at humanity, think about what we could become if we maximized our potential. What would that be? Well, we as humans could become godlike. In other words, we can become the masters of the universe. We can figure out a way to control everything, such that we could probably create our own universes with our own laws of physics and manipulate everything to our delights. But the question is that actually possible? Is that a reasonable goal to have? I say yes. Considering the impact that the scientific method has had on our civilization, we have begun to evolve and expand exponentially in the past couple hundred years. If you went back to the 1800s and showed somebody a device like this, probably blow their minds. Because you have this device where you can literally look up pretty much anything. You can watch videos, you can draw pictures, you can find the naughty things. You know what I'm saying? You can learn the language, you can read books, you can accomplish so many things with just this device right here. Okay? But if you take it to its logical conclusion, think of the Matrix. Think about being able to download knowledge to your brain. You don't even have to read a book. You can just have instant access to that information and understand the context instantly, immediately. And instead of having to recall certain parts of the story, certain aspects, you can literally have the entire story memorized immediately. Any new scientific paper that's published in a journal, you have direct access to the understanding of what was discovered or what the experiments concluded. You have it right there. And then you can be able to take that information to find even more aspects of our reality. And that is ultimately what should be the goal of us human beings. To understand the full nature of our reality so that we can manipulate it to our collective benefit. And who knows, take it even further, create our own realities, literally. I mean, maybe that's what the concept of the multiverse is all about. Figuring out a way to create universes such that we have endless diversity, so that we have endless possibilities, literally. So, the only problem is we have these institutions that are in place that prevent us from working towards these achievements, from working towards these goals. And it becomes difficult to get everybody on board because everybody has their own view of what we're trying to do. First of all, a lot of people don't even think about us as a collective human race. People are stuck in their own tribalistic mentalities, whether you're talking about their local municipalities, their families, their cities, states, countries. You know what I'm saying? People become nationalists, people are racist, homophobes and xenophobes and what have you. And these things create internal conflict among us humans such that it's impossible for us to maximize our ability to understand the nature of our reality. In other words, performing science to such a degree where we can make real inroads in terms of understanding our reality. We are barely scratching the surface in terms of understanding our reality, but we're too mired in conflict, in war, hunger, homelessness, famine, climate change, all these different issues that plague us as a human race that are affecting everyone. Economics, politics, religion, all of these divisive things that make it so incredibly difficult for us to have real conversations about real issues so that we can work towards achieving the ultimate goals that we should set for ourselves as a human race. And that is why it is so important for me to do what I do. For me to actually get people together so that we can actually discuss these things, because nobody's talking about it. Everybody wants to purport all this nonsense that they want to talk about, but most people don't know what the hell they're talking about. And then we wonder why we have all these conflicts. We wonder why we see regression occurring and not progression. We wonder why it's so difficult for us to create a well-functioning society for ourselves such that we don't have to constantly be at war, so that we don't have to constantly fight over resources, so that we don't have to actually constantly worry about getting a job or putting food on the table, feeding children, ensuring that we have a great environment for children. Instead, we have all these different individuals and institutions who benefit directly from chaos. So we have to draw a line in the sand. We have to figure out what exactly do we want to achieve as people. What is it that we want to accomplish overall? Because if it's every person for themselves, then we might as well just jump in the casket collectively as a human race and just expect to die. Because there is no possible way we can ensure our collective survival if we're always going to be at war with each other, if we're always going to experience conflict over the most menial things. That's why it's so important that we talk about all of these important topics. Like, for instance, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of people with this, but say, let's deal with the issues of the Jews and the Palestinians. What in the hell are they going at it about? What is that all about? What are they fighting for? Why is there always bombs being dropped? Why is Israel constantly preventing Palestinians from achieving any kind of independence and allowing them to just own their own land? As a matter of fact, why do we even think like that? We're all human beings. Why can't we just coexist? Why can't we just share land together? Why do we have to be constantly going at war? Why can't you just have your patch here and we have our patch here? And then we can trade, we can interact with each other, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can intermingle, all these different things. Like, it doesn't make sense that in 2023 and henceforth that we still are going at it, experiencing war and mayhem. And for what? What exactly do we accomplish by going to war with each other? Who exactly benefits from us always dealing in conflict? Well, as I said earlier, we have these institutions that exist that directly benefit. Whether you're talking about paramilitaries, whether you're talking about oil companies, weapons manufacturers, they benefit from sales occurring. And in order for sales to occur, there has to be conflict. There have to be people who need weapons so that people will want to purchase the weapons and use them. Otherwise, what's the point of having the weapon other than if you just enjoy having them? There's no fun in that. And you're not going to see as many sales when people are just buying things because they enjoy it. No, there has to be some form of conflict. But see, here's the problem. We have become such a hyper-capitalist nation. We have become such a hyper-capitalist planet that everything is always about profit at all costs, to such a degree that certain industries exist that actually worsen our collective quality of life. See, here's my thing. There are certain products and services that make sense to capitalize, whether we're talking about t-shirts, fruit drinks, candy, food products, right? Certain specific things where it's like, okay, yeah, you should be able to go out in the marketplace and profit from selling this particular product or service. But there are some products and services that should not be for sale. They should not be privatized at all. Things like the prison industry, things like the healthcare industry. Because once you have private practice, You now have an incentive for people to be in poor positions, to suffer from dire straits. You need war for weapons manufacturers to sell weapons. And they don't care who they sell to. They're not going to sell to only one side or the other. They're going to sell to whoever they can. Having prisons be privatized means that they need laws that will ensure that people will be imprisoned, that people will break laws. And these things are terrible for families worldwide, nationwide, and it makes it impossible for us to have a well-functioning society, because now we have laws that ensure that there will be a certain number of, a minimum number of people who will be in prison. So instead of prison being a necessary thing that we need to keep the dangerous away from society, now there's an incentive to incriminate people for menial crimes, for substance use and sales, right? But that goes back to what I was saying earlier. A lot of these drugs should not be privatized. If a lot of these drugs were available to the public, we could ensure that they're safe so that people don't overdose because they're cut with all kinds of craziness. So that would ensure quality of the product. And now, instead of there being a financial incentive to sell these products, people are getting them as a means to an end. Because the goal should be for people to not be addicts. The goal should be for people to use substances because they enjoy it and not to abuse them to such a degree that they become dependent upon them. If you want to smoke a little something, you want to drink a little something, you want to nose candy or something, that's fine if you're able to be a functional person and live a productive life. But if it becomes so debilitating that you cannot live a normal life without these substances, then that means we need to have actual programs in place to help people break the addiction and get to the root of what causes the addiction. Because 9 times out of 10, people suffer addictions because they're dealing with all kinds of crazy traumas and various disorders that help them to cope. I mean, that required them or caused them to be addicted to these substances that allow them to cope with these disorders, with these traumas that they're battling with. And that is one of the biggest problems we have as a society, because it's impossible for us to actually get a handle on these things when we have so many among us who don't even care about figuring out practical solutions, either because they subscribe to some ridiculous ideology, or worse, because they have a financial incentive for people to suffer from these addictions and disorders. And that's the whole thing. We have a lot of people who are suffering from various disorders, various conditions, and there is no great access to care that allow them to get the care that they need. And that is what causes a lot of the issues that we face as a society. Because, again, we have these different institutions that benefit directly from the chaos that we see in the world. They literally get a direct benefit from the situation being dire, and thus it becomes impossible to fix these situations, because now these institutions that benefit from the current condition are going to incentivize our politicians to keep it that way, to maintain the status quo, because it's all about self-preservation at that point. If you are a private prison company, if you are a pharmaceutical company, and you benefit from people being sick, you benefit from people being in prison, how exactly, or should I say, why exactly would you want that to stop? Because if all you care about is the the capital, if all you care about is profit, if all you care about is money, then why would you want it to stop? Why would you care if any of that changes at any point in time? You want the money to keep flowing in regardless, because it allows you to be able to have money. It allows you to be able to feed your family. It allows you to constantly accrue wealth. And why would you want to stop that? When we live in this hyper-capitalist society that tells you that you're amazing and awesome if you're able to make money. And that is exactly what is so sick about our society, that we encourage hyper-capitalism at all costs, with no regard for human life, with no regard for how it impacts society. If you're able to generate lots of capital, you are amazing. If you're able to do it by breaking the law, as long as you don't get caught, great. But what's so problematic is that we don't incentivize people to actually do things the right way. Because again, all these different institutions benefit from it being the wrong way. You don't get movies and TV shows without conflict and drama. If everything was peaceful, then what's Hollywood gonna be? There's gonna be a bunch of movies about people falling in love and having kids and having great friendships and great families, great jobs, and living great lives with very little conflict and drama. That doesn't sell. No, you got to have drama. You got to have action. You got to have war. We love action. We love violence. We love sex. We love all these different things. So how can we ensure that that continues to perpetuate unless we sell people on the idea of drama? I mean, look at all the top TV shows that we see. There's all kinds of drama and action, and at the root of it, it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of terrible things happening in various different societies. And yes, we love the idea of people persevering through tough times, but the goal that we should be setting for ourselves is that we don't have these tough times. I mean, look, when it comes to life, there's always going to be some form of conflict, no matter what. I mean, even right now, me doing these lives, I'm doing these lives despite the fact that not a single person is on here watching me right now. But I have to have the belief that one of these days, people are going to see the value in what I'm doing. So I always have to push. So let's say all of a sudden I start getting views. Then I'm going to have to deal with trying to get more views. And I'm going to have to try to do more things to attract more people while also maintaining the people who originally came through and became fans. It's called retention. Maintaining retention. Making sure that I can attract new viewers while making sure that the people who've been on board are still down through it all. That people don't say, oh, he's changed. I don't like what he's doing. But that's what's so crazy, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be conflict. Once we solve one problem, it's going to lead to new problems, or us discovering a new problem that we didn't realize before. And so there's always going to be a push-pull. There's always going to be a tug of war. Even if we accomplish this right here, it's going to lead to the next issue, which is why we have to focus on the trajectory of humanity. What is it that we want to accomplish? What is it that we want to ultimately achieve? Do we want to achieve immortality? Do we want to achieve a pain-free life? Or a life of endless possibilities, endless decisions and options that you have available, that we all have available? It becomes extraordinarily difficult. And so that is why it is important for us first to establish a baseline of our current regular reality right here today. It is 2:24 p.m. Central Standard Time, June 15th, 2023. Right? What is this reality that we inhabit? That should be our main goal of trying to understand. What is this reality that we inhabit? What exactly is it? And the thing is, we're not going to figure it out unless we utilize the scientific method. I know that there are a lot of theists out there that believe in hoping and wishing and praying and all of that, but none of y'all have demonstrated how any of that helps us to understand anything, which is the reason why theism is on its way out. And we need to get it the hell out of here because it has done nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing to help us. And I'm going to go into that more tomorrow. But the fact is that religion, spirituality, all these different things do not help us to understand the nature of our reality at all. And that should be our ultimate goal as human beings, to understand the nature of reality, to understand the universe. Is the universe all that there is? Is there more to it? Is it a multiverse, a superverse, an omniverse? What kind of verse is it? And then, like, getting to the bottom of, is there more? Is there other universes in existence? And if so, is there a way to travel to them? Or to affect them in any way? Or vice versa? Could they help us? Understanding history, understanding how life begins to form. What are all of the different factors needed to ensure not just life, but intelligent life exists on all these different planets? Or is it only just us out here? Is it really just us Earthlings that exist in the entire universe? Because that's what the Fermi paradox is all about. Despite the billions upon billions of galaxies, each of which has billions of stars, and each of which has about 2 planets per star, 1.6 to be more exact, we have zero evidence of any kind for the existence of aliens. Nothing tangible. I mean, we have wow signals, we have other signals, we have weird sightings and light beams in the sky and stuff like that, but nothing that clearly demonstrates the existence of aliens. We don't know if there is intelligent alien life or any other form of alien life, microbial life, bacterial life, or if it's literally just us here on the earth. You know, there's been hypotheses that some of the viruses and some of the molecules that we see on Earth could have been extraterrestrial, but there's no evidence that that's even possible. And so that is why it is so important for us to understand the nature of our reality, for us to do the work to figure everything out. Because hoping and wishing and asserting things does nothing to demonstrate the truth of anything. And so that is why we need to be hyper-focused on challenging every proposed notion and idea that people have to offer. Because at the end of the day, if we're going to get to the bottom of understanding our reality, we have to heavily scrutinize every idea, every proposal, every concept that people want to venture. Because at the end of the day, that is what is going to help us understand even more. Keeping ourselves sharp, and you know, there's nothing wrong with anybody proposing ideas, even if they seem wacky. Because the nature of our reality could be something that's so mind-blowing that nobody's even thought of what it could actually be. For all I know, existence could be all in my mind, or all in your mind. It could be just a super long dream that somebody's had. We don't know at all. And that is why science is our best tool for getting to the bottom of it. As we have seen in the past just couple hundred years, science is easily our best tool for understanding the nature of our reality. What's up, American Monday? What's good? What's good? Welcome, welcome, welcome back. Make sure you hit that like, fam. You already know. You already know. But yeah, so what I'm talking about today is the ultimate goal of humanity. What should be our goal as a human race? If we take a step back and look at what it is we're trying to achieve as people. Thank you so much, fam. But if we look at what we're trying to achieve as people, at the end of the day, Our ultimate goal as people should be trying to understand the nature of our reality to our best ability. Trying to understand if this universe is all that there is or if there's more to it. Trying to understand, astronomy, cosmology. How did the universe come to be? Is the universe all that there is? How did life form on Earth? Is there life elsewhere in the universe? Is humanity the only intelligent life in the Milky Way or in the entire universe? Or are there other actual intelligent alien life forms out there? Are we the first intelligence in the universe, or are there other civilizations that predate us? And this is what we talk about with the Fermi paradox. Like, there's so many galaxies, so many stars. You would think that we would see megastructures all over the place, alien spaceships flying around, starship troopers, and all these different things, and yet we don't see anything. We don't see anything. We don't see anything conclusive. We have these strange sightings like what we saw in Las Vegas, a week ago or earlier this week. And other claims of UFO sightings that people have had throughout the years. But nothing definitive, nothing concrete, nothing distinct that's clearly a smoking gun piece of evidence that shows, oh shit, look at that over there. Aliens. Bam. Conclusive evidence. We don't have any of that. And the thing that's so crazy is that our level of technology is at its infancy. We have barely scratched the surface in terms of what we could discover, what we could innovate, what we could achieve. I mean, we just launched the James Webb Space Telescope a couple years ago. It's still making discoveries to this day. And what's so crazy is that we can make even better space telescopes that are even larger, with even larger capabilities. Even greater capabilities of seeing clearly into the void and uncovering secrets that we had no idea actually existed. I mean, even right now, the James Webb is detecting galaxies that were never, ever seen by anyone ever in human history. I'm talking about these things are being discovered right now. And there's so much more to this existence that we could ever have possibly thought of. So we should be focused collectively as a human race to understand and discover all these different things. Because by creating better telescopes, whether we're talking about space telescopes or telescopes on Earth, we could find all these different worlds. And even if they don't have life, we could index all of these things so that now we actually have an idea of what's out there. We can discover more about how these things form, what it takes for them to form, what exactly they're made up of, and things like the Goldilocks zone. How exactly do these different planets, if they do harbor life, if they could harbor life, how exactly could they do it? Where exactly would they have to be respective in their star systems in order to harbor life? Do these planets need to have liquid water? Yeah, no, see, and this is another thing, American Monday, like, yeah, billionaires get to see space because they have all the money. And this is one of those situations where I feel like we have to be careful in terms of, speak on these subjects, because on one hand, we have become such a hyper-capitalist society that, yes, only the people with the capital are able to do these type of things. But at the same time, unfortunately, because we're hyper-capitalist, this is how spacefaring becomes normalized. Just like with Elon Musk and Tesla. Like, when he first created Tesla, he had to sell a car that would appeal to rich people so that he could create a production method that made it worth it to sell at scale to the layperson, because that's really where you make your money from. So first you sell to the people with the money, or with the most money, so that you can scale up your production to sell it to the layperson. It's like with anything, the internet. I mean, of course, you only have rich people and people who are in politics who could access the internet. But once it became available to the public, now we all have access to it. You feel what I'm saying? So No, go ahead. I'm starving too. I'm about to chow down after I'm done here. So, do what you gotta do. But at the same time, it's just like we have to be focused on what exactly we could accomplish, like collectively, because now we're getting into a time period in humanity where hypercapitalism is incompatible with the mass communication, with the innovations that are occurring right now, especially with AI, because if AI does indeed take everybody's jobs, who's going to have money? Exactly, same here. And that's exactly you know, what we're becoming, a more socialist, communist kind of society, because that's what's gonna have to happen. There's been so much propaganda that has been purported for decades, railing against communism, railing against socialism, and all these different things. Why? Because these people who have capital want to continue to constantly accrue capital. The unlimited growth model. The unlimited growth model is unsustainable. At least for a well-functioning society, the more and more smaller groups of individuals, the plutocrats and the oligarchs, hoard all the resources, the more and more it's going to cause problems for the proletariat, for the rest of the civilians and citizens of society. So that's why I always harp on us working interdependently with synergy, to your point. We are able to have civilization because we work together to fill specific roles. Whether you're talking about the sciences, whether you're talking about specific skills, like plumbing and electricity, and all those different types of things. Everybody has a role to fill, and because everybody plays their part, it allows us to have a well-functioning society. But because times are changing, because technology is advancing, the way that we organize ourselves now is unsuitable for maximal function. Exactly. We all need money. I mean, money is the lifeblood of the economy. When the money is not flowing, it creates blood clots. Just like I said the other day. Just imagine how much more this world would have progressed if it wasn't for the paper restrictions and money restrictions. Exactly. See, this is exactly why it is my opinion that hypercapitalism is not conducive to having a well-functioning society. Because to your point, I mean, there are so many innovations that have been stymied, that have been stifled as a result of capitalism. I mean, electric cars. Electric cars have existed pretty much since cars existed. But because gasoline companies, oil and gas companies need to get paid, they don't want electric cars to be a thing. So, for over a century, electric cars have been stifled. Or like hemp products, because lumber needs to get paid. And all these other companies that base their profits on their specific products. All of these things have hampered human progress, and they continue to. There are so many innovations that get stymied. Only thing is that now, because of AI, because of the advances in science, it's impossible to stymie progress now, unless you have things like politics and religion that make it difficult for us to make progress, which is the reason why I'm always arguing against these different things. We have to change the way we go about organizing ourselves and how we think about our existence. And having dogmatic mentalities is just not the way to go. I don't think that's ever going to change to the oil and gas run out. Well, that's yes and no, right? Because I always point people to companies like Blockbuster, right? Blockbuster has such a gigantic market share when it came to movie and video game rentals and what have you. But then they became overtaken by Netflix because Netflix had a much more convenient model for people. Plus, they had the subscription model. But Blockbuster had the ability to just transition over into that. But because of the limited growth model, companies only are looking towards the short term. They become super short sighted. Yeah, I miss Blockbuster too. I ain't even gonna stunt. Like, I used to love going to Blockbuster and just the smell of the place and looking at all these different movies, all these different games. Blockbuster was actually principal in so check this out. When I was in elementary school, my dad discovered what was called the mod chip for the PlayStation. So you could actually, and this is around the time of where CD burning first hit the market. You could copy games, and so what you would have to do is you could go to Blockbuster, you could rent a game, copy the game. Once you install this mod chip into the PlayStation, you could play copy games. So me and my brother used to take people's PlayStations, have our dad install the mod chip, and then we could hook people up with games, or people could go and get their own games. But because we had the CD burners, we could sell the games. If we actually knew what we were doing at the time, we probably could have got rich, at least until we got caught by the freaking government. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, like, Blockbuster could have transitioned into being Netflix or being like Netflix. They had the infrastructure, they had the money, but because they're so focused on short-term profits, they loved the fact that they were making a lot of money based on the rental fees, the late fees, and all that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, if they would have just spent that little money to say, hey, let's go into streaming, they would probably still be around right now. But right now, as far as I know, there's only one Blockbuster left in Oregon. Ironically, however, because of Netflix's recent debacle with, ending password sharing, that could open up the door for Blockbuster to make a crazy comeback. But who knows? Yeah, I miss talking to you too. Well, just hit me up and we could talk, one-on-one. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I always say, you can follow me on social media at The Ultimate Rage. You can follow me at Instagram, Twitter, at The Ultimate Rage. And then, if you're super cool, I'll give you my personal number. And then we can talk directly. Because at the end of the day, we need to work together interdependently with synergy. And I'm willing to work with anybody who has the same mindset as me. So, yeah, follow my social media, fam. I'm always on TikTok. TikTok is The Ultimate Rage 9 and The Ultimate Rage 079. Oh, well then there we go. Well, then there we go. Well, then just hit me up then. Stop playing games. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? But anyway, goddamn, the point is, we have to be focused on trying to understand the nature of our reality as much as possible. Because if we don't, what are we doing? What exactly are we trying to achieve here? What exactly are we going to hope to achieve? That's why it's so important for us to establish a baseline of reality. What exactly is our reality? See, the thing that got me to start back making videos after a long hiatus was an argument I had with one of my friends. So, long story short, we've had a bunch of great discussions about various issues. Till we got to the issue of mathematics. And I was making the point, oh, they will. It's going to happen. As long as I have people like you in my corner, it's going to happen. Slowly but surely, we're going to make the changes happen. Trust me. That's why I'm trying to be more consistent now. That's why I've been going every day, Monday through Friday, because it's time for us to make a real change as a society, because the way things are now are clearly insufficient for a well-functioning society. It just doesn't make sense. All these different things that we see happening today are ridiculous. And I'm sure you, like me, can see, like, what the fuck? What in the hell is going on? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so we need to create a grassroots movement of change. Real, true, tangible change. Not this bullshit political garbage that we've seen. Not Barack Obama hoping change that became more of the same. I'm talking about real change from us, the people. That's why we have to establish a baseline. What is this reality that we inhabit? What exactly is it that we are trying to accomplish as a nation, as a society, as a human race? What is it that we are trying to accomplish? We can all have different ideas, but as long as we're actually being reasonable in our positions, then we should focus on how we achieve our goals and having real, tangible, logical, insightful discussions about these issues instead of raving back and forth, the Jews and the gays and the this and the that. Pointless garbage discussions that accomplish nothing. Engaging in wars and conflicts that don't accomplish anything but chaos and mayhem and unnecessary loss of life. And yes, definitely dismantling the churches. Are you kidding me? The churches, and I know you know, but like I'm gonna say it for those in the back who ain't heard it, religion, theism, churches, they are the longest running scam in human history. They have bamboozled, hoodwinked, run amok, and led astray so many different people. I mean, billions of people. Billions upon billions of people in the freaking world. And that's why it pisses me off that despite the fact that we have 13.8 billion years that the universe has existed, the thousands of years that theism has been around, and the billions of theists who exist, not a single one of them can demonstrate their claims, and yet they are so quick to assert their bullshit as much as possible. And that is what is destroying, or at least partly what is destroying our society. That we have these charlatans that get in positions of power and will say things like, heaven is real, so why should we focus on creating a better planet? That is absurdly delusional. And that's why I always say that people like that should never, ever, ever come close to having the position of political office at all. And yet, at least here in America, there are so fucking many people who get in these positions of office, who have these ridiculous views, who are worsening the state of our nation and the planet as a result. And they are walking around unchallenged. And then when somebody like me exists, who comes up, who pops up to try to challenge them, they try to stifle and shut down any conversation of any kind. Exactly. They've burned women alive. They have harmed so many children. I mean, that's one of the issues that I have talked about in the past couple weeks. The mere fact that these religious institutions are the biggest child predators in the world. And you see all these different people, all these religious people, all these politicians who will rant and rave against the gays and the LGBT community, the trans community, the freaking drag queens. But we always see stories that it's the religious institutions that not only harm kids, but they've been doing it for the longest. And every single time that I challenge them on this, they make up bullshit excuses. They want to try to deflect and deny, or try to turn around and say, oh, you're trying to take advantage of the suffering of kids. But they never seem to have any form of solution of any kind whatsoever. They always want to talk about the Lord and the Lord and the Lord and the Lord and the Lord. And it's like, okay, well, why ain't the Lord doing some lording around this motherfucker? Why is he not helping these kids? Why is he putting these people, well, allegedly, because, you know, he doesn't exist. But if he did exist, why would he be putting these crazy monsters in positions to be able to harm kids and mislead so many people? If this God was real and was so omniscient, then this God would know that people like you and me exist. And like, yes, exactly. Any other place would be shut down for sure. If we found out that there was some human trafficking ring in freaking Mexico that was working on the dark web, some law enforcement agency would be trying to raid them and shut them completely down and prosecute these people. But instead, we see a giant network of human traffickers and, you know, people committing assaults against children that actually protect these monsters. They actually will move them around. Oh, you were harming kids in Kentucky? Let's move you over to Ohio so you can harm kids there. And then every time you challenge this on this, they always have an excuse. And then saying that the child deserves it is the absolute worst, most disgusting thing I could ever hear of. And there's no way on this planet that any theist could then try to assert that they have the moral high ground when they say shit like that. Only evil people would say the child deserves it or blame a victim of assault. That is disgusting, demoralizing behavior. I mean, just abysmal behavior. Anybody who has that position cannot claim that they have the moral high ground in any way, shape, or form at all. And they definitely should not be in a position of making decisions that affect the rest of us. People who get in the positions of government should be forced to take an aptitude test, a psych exam, or something. Because it is abundantly clear that we have a planet full of people suffering from all types of disorders and ailments who should not be anywhere near a position of government. And that's the thing, that's the worst thing. They act like they need Jesus to know right from wrong. And the thing that's so crazy is that they always demonstrate that even if they did know right from wrong, that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Exactly. There's so many of these people who are in positions of government. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene. People like freaking Trump and all these goofies that love purporting their religious nonsense. And it's like, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. The mere fact that you are religious goes to show that your decision making in and of itself is compromised. Because you're willing to believe something that is totally unjustifiable. And so, what do you know? You have these people that purport things like, oh, hydroxychloroquine will help treat your COVID. Exactly. That's how it should be. If somebody harms a child, it shouldn't end well for that person. But see, this is how theism has warped people's minds. All right? It has warped people's minds so much that people will put their kids in positions of danger, and even when it's brought to their attention that their child is being harmed, they will allow it to continue. Like, that's why we see these people like freaking David Koresh, who he has these dreamy good looks, he has great charisma and a warm, lovable personality, that he was able to convince people to give him their wives and their young prepubescent daughters for him to harm them like that. And people think that that's reasonable to do. Oh yeah, like you should, like, see, and this is the whole thing. So many people get sucked into these cults of personality. They fall for, you know, these charlatans and these scam artists that claim that they're the child of God, that they're the chosen by God, and so you should listen to them because they totally know, even though they can't demonstrate a God of any kind, anywhere, any place, any time. 100% of theists fail 100% of the time to demonstrate their claims. And yes, they should definitely be in jail. Before I continue, the rest of y'all who's watching, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and thank you for coming through, because these are the kind of conversations we need to be having as a human race and as people in the world. So, yeah, exactly. So just because somebody might have gone through, like you said, Mother Mary, and went through it, that's okay for the kid to go through it. No, our goal should be trying to make life better for the future, because kids are the future. And if we're gonna want them to have the best possible future, we should be arming them with as much information and as many tools as possible for them to maximize their full potential. So by indoctrinating them with bullshit and allowing them to be harmed by these disgusting monsters and charlatans is not the way to go. And then I asked this, like, okay, if God is real, why would he ordain these people to be in the positions to be able to harm kids? Because wouldn't this omniscient God know that this guy over here and that guy over there are sick fucks, and therefore they should not be in positions of leadership at all? And then on top of that, Why do people get so sucked into these people that they will actually make excuses for these sickos? But these people will actually like make excuses and question you, question me for saying, hey, what the hell is going on with this crazy guy? Or these crazy people. And it's not like we're being unfair. It's not like we're maligning people for no reason. Children should be kept safe, period. And if these people claim that they have the truth, then they should be able to demonstrate it. And what better way than showing how they actually protect kids, which they seem to always fail to do all the time. And not only do they fail for decades. And as I've said before, a lot of these people know what's going on. They excuse it. Some of them will cover for these sickos, knowing that kids are being harmed. It happens all the time. Pope Benedict had to step down from being Pope. Isn't that crazy? How the hell is somebody who's ordained by God himself having to step down because he can't seem to stop these sickos from harming kids all over the world? If he was ordained by God, then God should be giving this dude some kind of insight. He should be giving this dude some kind of direction to know, okay, don't rock with that dude. Oh, this guy over here, he's harming kids. You need to shut him down. You need to report him to authorities. In fact, why would God even allow those people to attain those positions in the first place? Yes, Iceland is definitely onto something, which is the reason why Iceland is #1 on the Global Peace Index. They are #1. #1. When the 2008 crash happened, Iceland said, you know what? All these fraudulent bankers, let's put them in prison. We say, hey, let's bail them out because they're too big to fail. They're just too big to fail. And then what happened? They started to get even bigger. And earlier this year, we started to see a couple more bank failures. Signature Bank. And here's the ironic, the super duper most ironic part about it. So when the 2008 crash happened, at least here in America, there was a new bill that was passed called the Dodd-Frank bill. That was supposed to be new regulatory legislation to keep banks in check. So part of the namesake of that bill, Dodd-Frank, is Barney Frank, who, fun fact, he's the first openly gay politician here in America. But this same guy, after he left office, became an employee of Signature Bank, the same bank that actually ended up failing earlier this year. And this guy was a Democrat, which is one of the reasons why, even though I'm a leftist, I'm anti-Democrat, because if Democrats had our best interests in mind, then why would they allow this collusion between government and corporations? It just shows us what kind of hyper-capitalist corporatocracy we've become here in America. And so the whole thing is, like, we have done a miserable job of organizing ourselves because we capitulate to the rich, the banks, and the corporations as much as possible. And Princeton University performed a study showing that in the past 40 years, the overwhelming majority of legislation passed here in America has benefited exactly that: the rich, the banks, and the corporations, regardless of whichever political party was in office. Which goes to show you that neither of these parties care about us, the people. And they always, especially the Democrats, they make excuses as to why we can't have legislation that we need to create a more well-functioning society, because at the end of the day, they're getting bankrolled by the same institutions and the same individuals that the right wing does. They just pretend like they actually care because they're not anti-gay or anti-the LGBT community or anti-people of color. And they try to use that to try to fool people into supporting them so that they can continue to perpetuate the bullshit. Which is why even now, under a Democrat in office right now, we can't get health care. We can't get child care. We can't get student loan forgiveness. We have all these different issues we have to face. And meanwhile, Democrats still tell us, no, just keep voting for us, keep voting for us, keep voting for us, keep voting for us, keep voting for us. Maybe one day, 100,000 years from now, we'll think about passing some kind of legislation. And it's ridiculous. We get nothing done. Nothing gets accomplished. And we could be doing so much better as a human race, as American citizens, as citizens of the world, if we would actually be sensible, if we could actually have real conversations. Everything that we see on TV, everything that we see on C-SPAN, all this nonsense, it's all a sham. It's all a show. It's all bullshit. We see these political debates, they ain't talking about nothing. They don't get real people in there to have real debates about these topics. Like, people do not have to pass a test to demonstrate that they know what the hell they're talking about. People are willing to just open their mouths and spew all types of bullshit. And like we said earlier, a lot of these people tend to be some kind of theist, some kind of conspiracy theorist, or whatever the hell. And then they show that their decision making is compromised to such a degree that they do not know what they're doing. And then we wonder why we have these harmful policies that get passed and implemented that hurt everybody. Yes, we definitely need progressives for sure. But we need real progressives, not these progressives in name only, not progressives who only talk about it but aren't about it when it comes to when it matters. Like the mere fact, like I tell Democrats all the time, the mere fact that Hillary lost to Donald Trump just goes to show you how terrible of a candidate she was. I mean, the mere fact that you can have a candidate run for office while being under FBI investigation should tell you this is not a candidate to run, especially considering the fact that she was guilty. And then I try to tell Democrats this too. Like, okay, Trump has been indicted because of his horrible handling of secret documents and what have you. He is guilty and he should be prosecuted as such. However, Hillary did the same thing. She had an unencrypted private server in her home that she was using to conduct official government business. And that is exactly how Guccifer was able to intercept the Podesta emails. And that's what hurt her campaign even harder. Cambridge Analytica for sure, definitely. I mean, and that's the whole thing. Like, this is an institutional problem. That's what we are realizing as people, that these people that get in positions of power, either they're incompetent or they suffer from hubris and or they're corrupt as hell. Either they don't know what they're doing or they do know what they're doing and they're just undermining civility. They're undermining the integrity of the office that they are supposed to uphold. And then because people are so wedded to specific parties or to specific individuals, they have no sense of objectivity. And thus, when we start discussing these topics, we can't have real discussions because people start arguing out of emotion instead of intellect. And people can't be honest. Whether we're talking about cults of personality, whether we're talking about religious institutions, celebrities, what have you. People always, for some reason, have this knack for falling into the trap of super fandom. And to me, it just goes to show just how unstable so many people in our society are. Because all they do is rant and rave about their beloved figure or their beloved party, and then when you mention their flaws, when you mention their missteps, their miscues, their misdirections, their mistakes, people, instead of just accepting it and being like, okay, yeah, that was bad, she did do that, okay, yeah, he did do that, you know, I can't, you know, argue against that. They will argue you to death. And see, here's the thing, like, it's one thing to have an opinion on, like, somebody's t-shirt or somebody's song, something that's subjective, but it's gotten to a point where we can't even agree on the same facts. And that goes to what I was saying earlier about why I started doing this, because my friend, long story short, he said that you do not need to understand basic mathematics to be able to have a meaningful discussion of higher level mathematics. And I'm just like, how is that possible? If you don't understand that 2 plus 2 equals 4, how are you going to find the derivatives of this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah? How are we going to talk about exponents and freaking square roots or any other higher level math if you don't even have the basics mastered? And he actually tried to say that you can. And so I had to block him because I'm like, dude, you are deranged if you really think that. But we are a planet full of people who think like that. Who think that you can not understand the basics, but that you can be the most genius. That's preposterous. That's preposterous. On a slightly different topic, but in the same vein, it's like in sports, in basketball, Kenny the Jet Smith always talks about why one of the reasons why Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time is because he's one of the most fundamentally sound players ever. And in the same way, how can you be great at math if you don't understand the fundamentals of math? If you can't do basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, how are you going to do anything other than that? Anything higher than that? Exactly, to be able to talk about it, bring proof, bring facts, to be able to come up with different discoveries and innovations and insights that I might not even thought of before. Hey, if you do this, you can actually do it easier if you do it like that. And you can be like, oh snap, like I never thought of it like that. But if you just come in and say, hey, 5 plus 8 equals 2,579 knock it off, fam. And it's to a point where it's like, if you challenge somebody and tell them that they just might actually be wrong, how dare you? How dare you say that I was possibly wrong? It is my feeling that I am right because I feel that I'm right because my mind says that I'm right, and you're attacking me. How dare you attack me? Why are you attacking me? Why are you spreading so much hate? Why won't you just accept my bullshit? I really feel strongly that my bullshit is true, so why don't you just accept it at face value? And that is where we are. That's where we are. In so many different topics and so many different issues, we can't have any real discussions because people think that just because they feel a certain way, that we're just supposed to respect their bullshit. And then it's time that we stand against that shit and say, no. I don't care if you want to cancel me. Cancel me. Because the truth is the truth regardless of how you feel about it. We can't allow these people to try to muddy up the conversations by trying to turn it around on you because you said a certain word or because you disagree with them and you actually dare to challenge them to demonstrate their claims and they fail to do so. If they fail to demonstrate their claims, that means that they should shut the hell up and stop purporting their nonsense. Exactly. We should be dealing in facts. It is 2023 AD, not 2023 BC. So how are you going to come around purporting and spewing your nonsense and thinking that you should be unchallenged or that we should just accept it because you say it? No. We have the scientific method now, which means that if you make a claim about the nature of our reality, you should demonstrate that what you are saying is actually factually correct. That you're not just bullshitting us. Oh, well, science isn't always correct. And it's like, yeah, but you know what proves that science to be incorrect? Better science. And that's the point. So that's why, exactly, we have the net, we have documentaries, we have people who actually do the work to research and understand things, which is the point of, it goes back to the topic, our goal of humanity. What should we be trying to do? We should be trying to understand the nature of reality as much as possible. If there are ideas that have been long-standing that are proven false, then we should do away with them. I'm sorry to the people who purported these ideas and thought that they were correct. I know that it might suck to be removed from history because you thought you figured out something amazing, but guess what? You didn't. Thank you for trying, though. I appreciate the effort in trying, but the reality is the reality. If you weren't the one to come up with the idea, or if your idea turned out to be bogus, that's just life. That's just life. And that's another thing that we have to deal with. We have to deal with these people, even in science, people who get wedded to these concepts and ideas because of their legacies, their personal legacies. They don't want their legacies to be taken away because they were found to be wrong. But guess what? This is real life. If you actually care about the truth, then not only should you accept it, but you should encourage it, because at the very least, you tried. And we can appreciate that more than anything, other than just bullshit and standing on it because you think you were right because you had a dream one time. Or because somebody read you a fairy tale book one time. Or because your mommy told you that there's this thing called a God somewhere in some place. I don't know. Everybody has a different idea of it. And that shit doesn't help us. Exactly. And that's another thing. So I'm glad you brought that up, the world being flat. It always trips me out how the people who assert that the world is flat don't work for NASA. They're not astronomers, astrophysicists, cosmologists of any kind. They can't send a rocket ship into the sky. They don't seem to know anything of what they're talking about. And this is one of the biggest issues we have as a society, because there are so many people in our society who are scientifically illiterate as hell. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't understand any of these concepts, and because they're ignorant, it is too easy for them to get sucked in by these charlatans and scam artists who purport these ridiculous ideas that make them sound super duper foolish. If somebody could prove today that the world is actually flat, they could not only win all types of awards and prizes, they would change the world right now. Strangely enough, they never seem capable of any of that. While we got the James Webb Space Telescope at the L2 Lagrange point discovering some of the earliest galaxies that have never, ever been seen before at all in human history, these fools are staying stuck on their bullshit ideas that they cannot justify in any way, shape, or form. And then they have the nerve, they have the absolute nerve to publicly humiliate themselves, muddying the waters with their fucking bullshit, and then they wonder why we can't take them seriously at all. Isn't that absurd? Going to Antarctica to find the Garden of Eden for what? I can understand if there were some kind of oil company and they wanted to go there so they could drill oil there. I would understand that. But it's like people need to knock it off with these fantastical ideas. Like, for instance, the Garden of Eden. If, as an example, if Eve was made from Adam's rib, that means that they share genetic material, which means that they were practically brother and sister, which means that if they had kids, those kids, Cain and Abel, probably suffer from all types of deformities and genetic disparities. So it's no wonder Cain killed Abel, because they weren't in their right minds. But see, the thing that's so crazy is that if God was so omniscient and understood this, he would not have created Eve from Adam's rib in the first place. Wow. Wow, really? They tried to get you to join, fam? See, this is what is so disgusting to me, man. It is 2023. It's 2023 AD, not 2023 BC. If it was 2023 BC, that would make sense. It would make sense that they would try to get you to join this ridiculous movement. But the fact that it's 2023 AD, it literally sickens me to see so many people get sucked into these scams, to these garbage ass groups. Because it's like they have not done any shred of scrutiny of any kind. How can you be led to believe this kind of bullshit and you didn't even factor in whether or not these people actually know what the hell they're talking about? That's why it's so important that in the modern age, we teach the kids, that we teach the youth, and we teach everybody logic, critical thinking skills, that we have higher standards than just being led by our bullshit emotions. hoping that, oh, these fantastical stories are going to help us. Because at the end of the day, none of these people ever can demonstrate any of what they are talking about. At all. And it does nothing to help us understand our reality whatsoever. So all they're doing is holding us back from actual endeavors of improving upon ourselves, our quality of life, our understanding of reality, our ability to innovate, to create new technologies that actually improve our quality of life. Because these fools would rather go to Antarctica and dance around and perform ancient rituals that accomplish not a goddamn thing. What the hell could they possibly hope to accomplish by doing that dumb shit? Like, seriously, what could they hope to accomplish? This is why we need to seriously work diligently towards getting people off of this crap that is accomplishing nothing. Because at the end of the day, it is not helping anyone other than the scam artists and charlatans who are banking off of them, who are literally feeding off of them like some kind of parasites. Because these people don't know what they're talking about. And a lot of them know that they don't know what they're talking about, but they're taking advantage as much as possible because, hey, they're getting paid. Or, hey, they're able to get these chicks, able to get these young girls, these young kids, and take advantage of them. Whatever sick, twisted concept that they have. Check what out. So that's why I'm just like, we need to really seriously break free from these mental prisons, man. There is nothing that they do for us. Blood over intent. I'm gonna look that up. Oh, wow. It's a specific satanic ritual and cult. Oh, this is a new one too. They have strong links to conspiracy theories, especially the Flat Earth movement, which seems to be integral to their beliefs. It's a YouTube-based New Age religious movement on the internet with concerning cult-like qualities, as is at least somewhat of a leadership, and requires practitioners to post their rituals onto YouTube, and subsequently encourages practitioners to monitor the activities of every other practitioner to discourage anyone from leaving. As indicated by the cult mentality of being willing to monitor fellow practitioners and the belief in conspiracy theories, it is safe to assume that many practitioners are living in a filter bubble. The recent establishment of the Sophia Sanctuary is also highly concerning. Yeah, I'm glad that you were able to break free from that for sure. Or should I say that you were able to avoid that because, yeah, see, this is the issue that these belief systems have. They always need you to separate yourself from society so that they can indoctrinate you as much as possible. And it's like a parasite. It's parasitic. They fuck with your mind and make you think this bullshit. And it becomes difficult to break free. I mean, I'm just reading what it says on religion.fandom.com. Satanic or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's no such thing as a Satan anyway, but whatever this belief system is bullshit. And this is why I have such a huge problem with these people and these concepts, because as I always tell religious people, we have astronomy now. We have astronomy. We have cosmology. And look, I get it. Astronomy is not easy. I took astronomy in college, which is what got me so into it. Because before I took astronomy, I didn't give a fuck about none of the space shit. I didn't give a fuck about nothing. Then I took astronomy, and what actually got me more into it was because it was hard. Because it requires a lot of mathematics. I'm talking about decimal places, and you literally have to write out every step every single step of the way because it's difficult as hell to keep up with the numbers. But because I have a math background, I was able to do it. And it felt good to be able to get the questions right and have people coming up to me like, yo, how'd you get there? How'd you do that? Because astronomy is not easy. It's so much easier, however, to believe some stupid ass, goofy ass bullshit. Tarot cards and shit. That's easy to believe because it's just a card that says, oh, you're gonna die, or oh, you're gonna live, or whatever nonsense they always talk about. Astrology type nonsense. I was just talking to one of my homies about astrology the other day. He's an astrologist, and I'm just like, man, that shit is garbage. Astronomy over astrology any and every day. And he was trying to say, oh, well, astrology is like the marketing arm of astronomy. No, the hell it's not. It's just pseudo-intellectual bullshit that's muddying the waters and causing people, especially women, to think that talking about, well, because I'm a Sagittarius, I don't get along with Gemini, because what the fuck is that shit? Knock it off with that. All that shit is cap. Cappity, cap. And accomplishes nothing. You don't learn about freaking other galaxies. You don't discover other freaking exomoons and exoplanets because you learned about the freaking Sagittarius reading of the day. That does nothing. Well, here's the thing, like, you can see, this is the thing about us as human beings, and this is one of the things that I feel like people need to start understanding more. That there's always room for improvement. There's always room for self-improvement. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have the internet. That's why we have all these online courses and all these YouTube channels to help you learn this shit. You keep hearing about your ex. Yeah, and that's the thing that sucks, fam. Like, there are so many women that are into all of these ridiculous ideas, these ridiculous concepts, whether we're talking about religions, cults, like, you know, pseudo-intellectual nonsense. Women get sucked deep into it because they're more emotional creatures, and so and I don't want to sound like I'm being sexist because obviously guys get sucked into these things too, but a lot of the leaders are men for a reason because they know how to talk in such a way that's going to captivate women and get them so enamored with them and to cause them to believe this nonsense. That's why it's so important that we all, male, female, intergender, whatever gender, transgender, that we all learn critical thinking, logic, that we understand fallacies and how to avoid them. Because at the end of the day, nobody learns any of this stuff. I had to minor in philosophy in college for me to learn logic. That is a fucking problem. We should be learning logic in like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade or some shit. You should not have to be college educated to learn logic because, mind you, I had to be a minor in philosophy. It's not even a required course in our schools. And it was hard. I got a C in logic. I'm not even gonna I got a C. And to be honest, I didn't try my hardest. But at the same time, it was one of my classes that had the biggest impacts on me in my life. Because ever since then, I study logic and fallacies and all those different things. And I'm not gonna sit here and act like, oh, I'm super duper the most amazing, most logical person in the world. Because I'm not. I just know a thing or two. I know enough to know when somebody isn't making sense, and I can point out the mistake in their logic when they make it. Whether it's a special pleading fallacy, an ad hominem fallacy, a tu-quoque fallacy, all these different fallacies that exist where it shows your error in logic. Oh, you're special pleading. Oh, that's an argument from personal incredulity. Oh, because you don't understand it, therefore it's not true. Like, how does that make sense? Well, maybe you need to read some shit. But these are the issues that we have. Who's in here is just me and you. If there, I mean, YouTube isn't the best at keeping the numbers up to date, but for right now, it's just showing you. It's just you and me right here. But it's just like, this is why it becomes so difficult for us to figure out what exactly we're gonna do as a human race, because we can't even get on the same page. We have all these people want to believe all this different nonsense, and then like oh really? Because I didn't see any live hearts. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, I didn't see any of that. I didn't see any of that. It showed that there was 2 people in here at one point, but it didn't show any hearts. It didn't show me any likes. I've been staring at the screen this whole time. So honestly, YouTube needs to get its act together, especially because, I mean, how you gonna let TikTok overtake you, YouTube? You got all these resources, all this money. You gonna let them Chinese company come through and take over shit? Yo, if there's a stalker, great. Please stalk me. I mean, not in real life. I mean, but you don't really want to stalk me in real life, because I'm on the south side of Chicago, and if you know anything about Chicago, yeah, it's like that. And yeah, it could get bad for you. I'm just saying that. In fact, check this out. One time I was on TikTok doing the live. Somebody literally doxed me in my live. They kept posting my address. They kept just posting it in the chat. And I had a lot of people on too. I had like maybe 100 people on. So I had to tell motherfuckers like, yo, okay, there's my address. First I blocked the person, obviously. Fuck them. But I'm like, yo, come through to the crib if you want to. Just know, Southside Chicago, my neighborhood is affectionately called Killer Ward. Killer Ward. That should tell you something. This ain't the place you want to be coming around fucking around. Because you can get got. You can get got walking down the street, not bothering nobody. So if you come through trying to bother somebody, that could be what I know. Let's just say the word rhymes with truly title. Yeah, exactly. And that happens. Happens all the time. My sister is a teacher at one of the high schools in the neighborhood. One of her students lost their life walking out the freaking candy store. Somebody pulled a drive-by, and the poor young girl was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Even me, I've been robbed. Well, I was robbed down the street from my crib a few years back. Well, actually, it was a long time ago, back in 07. But down the street from where I'm at right now, lived here my whole life, and I'm getting robbed at gunpoint. So it ain't super safe out here. No, see, this is the thing. This is one of the reasons why I do what I do. I don't need a better place to live. My place to live should be in a better state. Everywhere should be in a better state. I should not have to move to be in a nice neighborhood. Every neighborhood should be a nice neighborhood. Every neighborhood on earth. We should not be dealing with these terrible, horrible conditions. There should not be, oh, well, because you're here or you're there, you live in the Middle East, you live in Afghanistan, you live in Syria, you live in freaking Iraq, you gotta be fucked. Fuck that. It's 2023. You can't tell me that we can't figure out how to create a peaceful world for ourselves. This is why we need to come to terms and create a baseline for the nature of our reality, so that going forward we can figure out the best decisions to make collectively as people, as individuals, as nations, and as a human race. Exactly. See, and that's the thing. There is so much money in this country. I'm talking about our GDP exceeds trillions of dollars. So there is no excuse for poverty, homelessness, debt, all this bullshit. All we do is allow these corporations to hoard everything. We allow these rich people to hoard everything so that they can continually fuck everything up and convince politicians, bribe politicians to enforce laws that will ensure that these corporations and rich individuals will make more money. Happens all the time. That's why it's so important that we come together as people and have real discussions. Fuck all the bullshit. It's like, let's establish a baseline for reality. 2 plus 2 equals 4. If you can't agree with that, you don't need to be in the discussion of anything after that. In fact, you might need some real psychological attention. And I'm not even saying that to be condescending. I'm being dead ass, because there are so many people in the world who are walking around going undiagnosed, being untreated, getting adequate treatment for their various disorders and traumas and addictions that need real serious help. They need help. They really, really need help. And instead of getting the help that they need, we would rather create a new prison or cut taxes for the rich. Give subsidies to prisons, give subsidies to various corporations, allow loopholes that allow corporations to not pay any taxes, and it's absurd. No, they don't. I'm the only one who thinks like I do. I am pretty much, I'm different from most people. My family, my friends. I mean, I have a few friends that see things like I do for the most part. But most of my friends and family are all theists of some kind. And it's really sad. I mean, just like in my neighborhood, I always talk all the time. Just right here. Just this strip right here, 79th Street. Churches and churches and churches and churches and churches. Churches all around here, on 83rd, on 79th, on Ashland, on freaking Western. Just churches all day. There's on Hamilton, there's a church. There's 2 churches across the street from each other. There's all kinds of churches, because most of the people in this neighborhood are some kind of theist of some kind. Most of these people have not even been like exposed to atheism, have been exposed to logic and all those things. Yeah, that's absurd. Prison definitely doesn't help the problem. And that's why I've been saying, like, the fact that they're privatized here in America, like, is so disgusting and sickening. Because now there's an incentive for these prisons to ensure that there are laws that will ensure that people will be afoul of the law so that they will be in prison. And because we make it hard for people who have been in prison to get jobs, it creates a vicious cycle, which is the point. Prison recidivism is so high, especially here in America, because it is profitable for these prisons. And when you combine that with the unlimited growth model, you have a nation of chaos. That's why they purported the drug war, to ensure that the poor and indigent among us will be forced to have to commit crimes in order to make money so that they can be in prison and then have their life fucked. Exactly. I mean, that's all it is. Like, it's Jim Crow via the prison system. And that's why we as a society have to ultimately decide that private prisons should be illegal. There are certain products and services that should just plain not be privatized at all. If we want a well-functioning society, it should not be possible to privatize prisons, to privatize healthcare. That is absurd. In the modern age, without people, corporations can't make a damn dime. Whether it's the people they employ or the people who consume their products and services. Without people, they don't get shit. That's why when the pandemic happened, the government had to give people money. Because if nobody had any money to spend, it would have created another collapse in the economy. Exactly. They've pretty much become parasites on our society, which is why we have to fight back against the hyper-capitalism and the hyper-corporatocracy that we've become, because everything is catered to corporations, and corporations only give a fuck about themselves. They are amoral institutions. They are not working to improve the lives of Americans. They're not working just to sell products and services. They are trying to constantly enrich themselves in the short term using the unlimited growth model. They're willing to cut corners. They're willing to bribe politicians and enact laws or help enact laws that ensure that they continually make money. I would run for president. I meet all the requirements, except I don't seem to have the money. That's the one thing in America that you need is money. And that's been the one thing I have been sorely lacking this whole time. So that's why I am building my brand now. So that hopefully maybe one day I could. I actually am in the process of creating my Patreon. I got to figure out what I can do to incentivize people to donate to my Patreon. And then I have to continually build this account. I was building on TikTok. Everything was going smooth on TikTok, but then all these haters had me shut down and it pissed me off. Still pisses me off to this day. But whatever. TikTok might get banned anyway, so maybe it was a good thing. But yeah, definitely, I will keep you up to date on that, because at the end of the day, most of these people don't know what they're talking about. When I see people running for office, I don't even care, because I know that they have not thought deeply about these topics, that they have been bought and paid for by various institutions, that they're constantly selling out to corporations and rich people because they have to raise money for their campaigns. And what's so crazy is that Bernie Sanders showed us that there's a new model that works, that if you actually appeal to the people, that you can actually outraise people who only suck on the corporate teat. Well, they didn't take my TikTok. They just banned me from going live. Well, they did ban my TikTok one time, but I was able to get it back. And then I had my live access banned multiple times until this very last time, and I can't get it back. I've sent and then get this. So TikTok did an Ask Me Anything one time. Invited me, sent me the message that, hey, check out our Ask Me Anything. So I go in there and I ask some real questions like, hey, how come you don't allow people to actually talk to somebody? How come I can't get my account back? How come even when I get a strike against my account and I successfully appeal the decision, the strike still counts against me? They blocked me. They blocked me from the AMA. So then I entered it from my other account. Like, why did you block me? Like, what the hell is that? You can't say ask me anything and then block me for asking you anything. Especially real questions that even other people wanted to know the answers to. Because obviously I wasn't the only one who went through it. Yeah, exactly. It just goes to show you social media hurts our ability too, because these social media companies have their own agendas too. It should be a lawsuit, except, was it just a week ago, they changed their terms of service such that they reserve the right to shut anybody down at any time. For any reason. They don't even need a reason. And this is how they circumvent free speech. Because since these corporations have sponsors and advertisers, they want to limit free speech. So now, the only true public square is in public. Because on social media, since they're private companies, they can say whatever the fuck they want. Google, freaking TikTok, Facebook. They can shut you down for anything that you say that they deem to violate the terms of service. Check this out on Facebook. This was some real bullshit. So, let's just say like a few years ago, I shared this post that was a meme. It was the James Franco first time meme. So it's like if you look it up, it's like, I forget what movie it's from. In fact, I'm gonna just look it up right now. So it's from the movie Ballad of the oh shit. Ballad of Buster Scruggs. So there's a scene where he's being hung from a noose, right? Or he's about to. He has a noose wrapped around his neck. And he's talking to somebody and he says, first time. So I shared the meme. In fact, let me just show you what it looks like. Oh shit, my bad. Come on. This is the meme right here. Right? So I shared that on Facebook. Not only did they remove it, but they actually put me in Facebook jail, saying I was promoting suicide, truly lied, suicide. I want to say the word, but I know how these social media accounts do. They said that I was promoting suicide. Are you kidding me? From sharing a meme that I did not create? Are you kidding me? And then not only that, they did it retroactively. I had posted it like a year before that. I might have only got like 2 likes, if that, on it. So a year later, they removed it and put me in Facebook jail for that. What the hell is that about? What the hell does Facebook care if I posted something a year ago? So you're digging through my old posts? And then get this. Get this. The first time that I was ever put in Facebook jail, I got put in Facebook jail for stating unequivocal facts, confirmed facts about the Obama administration. I was not saying anything that was unfair, that was untrue. Everything I said was sourced. I talked about the NSA prison program and how that was unconstitutional. I talked about the NDAA and how it allowed the government to harbor prisoners violating the due process. All these different things. Exactly, and that's one thing I get so sick of. People who want to report you all the time. That shit is so whack. So whack. It's like, look, if I actually did something that was wrong, you could tell me. Like, we can have a conversation. You can say, hey, man, that wasn't cool that you posted that. And we can have a discussion about that. But if you're just going to be on some hate and shit, what the hell is that? People need to knock it off with that. And see, and that's the irony. They're fucking with our mental health doing this shit. Which is the biggest part of it. It's become a super huge psyop. Like, all we're doing is telling the truth. But apparently, the truth is too hard for people to accept. But it's 2023 AD. It is time that people stop fucking around with the bullshit and that they start accepting reality as it is and not for how they want it to be. Because the irony is that if we actually accepted reality for what it is, we could manipulate our reality to make it better than anything we could have ever possibly imagined. Which is the point. It brings it around full circle. That should be our aim as a human race. To improve our reality such that it is greater than anything we ever imagined. But we can't do that when we have all these people who are super delusional, who want to believe all sorts of insane, innocuous bullshit that is unjustifiable. We can't fix the planet with hopes and wishes and bullshit delusions. It doesn't happen that way. It happens with objectivity. It happens with acknowledging the reason, the logic, the fact-based evidence via science, technology, engineering, and mathematics from an empathetic perspective. It sucks because I get that a lot of these people have their hearts in the right place, their intentions are good, but their execution is horrendous. That is the reason why I am so confrontational when it comes to religion, when it comes to politics, because we live in an age now where people need to start justifying their bullshit ass claims. Because if it's bullshit, then it needs to be done away with. It needs to be dismissed. And if what they say is true, then it needs to be accepted, and then we need to value it and purport it as much as possible. Exactly. It makes it so hard for us to not just be ourselves. It makes it hard to be real. It makes it impossible for us to be real. And it's so funny because we live in this time where people say no cap, no cap, no cap. But it seems like everybody loves cap. Everybody loves bullshit. Everybody loves to be lied to. They love to hear those sweet little nothings. That's why advertising works. Because people love being bullshitted all day. People do not want to hear the truth. They don't want to know the truth. Which is so ironic, because if people understood the truth, we could actually make huge inroads in creating a well-functioning society for ourselves. I'm not out here trying to make people feel bad. I'm not out here trying to put people down and make them feel like shit. I'm trying to understand the nature of reality, and we should all be working towards doing the same. That should be our ultimate goal of humanity. Truly understanding the nature of our reality. That's how we were able to construct devices such as this. Because of the understandings that we were able to discover about our reality. There are so many things that go into constructing such a device, from engineering such a device, such that it has the capabilities where you can watch me and I can talk to you in real time. Despite being thousands of miles away from each other. It doesn't happen by magic. It happens by reality. By people figuring things out, actually learning and discovering and innovating. Thank you for coming through. Make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button. And don't be afraid to say what's up in the chat. Because we need to get to the bottom of understanding the nature of our reality and really reaching conclusions that help us understand what is going on. Exactly. We're way past the rock and hammer stage, but people want to take us back there. They want to take us back there. They do not like to see all the innovations and the changes that are happening because they don't want to know nothing. They want to stay mired in ignorance. They want to stay mired in bullshit, hopes and wishes and bullshit. And meanwhile, so many people are being harmed as a result of it. And nothing seems to be able to get done. We can't seem to figure out how to stop churches from harming kids, parishioners and clergy and leadership from either hurting kids or protecting those who hurt kids. Not just in terms of assaulting them, but misleading them, feeding them lies and BS that hinder their ability of discovery, curiosity, the things that can help us actually learn new things and have a positive impact on improving the world as it is. Making it better than it was yesterday. Instead, we are regressing. The human lifespan, at least here in America, is declining. It's declining. That makes no sense. We're in the modern age. We should be working towards improving the human lifespan. But we've become so corporatist, we've become so individualistic that it's a dog-eat-dog world. Everybody cares about themselves and we can't fix anything. Like I said earlier, 1/3 of Americans suffer from medical debts. Medical debt. That doesn't even take into account credit card debt or freaking goddamn student loan debts, all different types of debt. And that's exactly it. We're working to the end of days, But it's like, for what? What exactly are we building? What exactly are we building towards? What exactly are we accomplishing? That's why we as a human race, we as Americans, we as, in the UK and wherever you all are, we need to take a step back and focus on what is it are we trying to accomplish ultimately. Because we're stressed with bills, we're stressed with dealing with life, our kids, our families, our neighborhoods, and we're not focused on what exactly we can accomplish to improve our quality of life, to actually improve the state of our nations, of our planet, and to ensure our collective survival and ability to thrive. We should not have a land of haves and have-nots. It's 2023 AD, not 2023 BC. We have such incredible means of production. We got AI systems now. It should be easier to provide for everyone. We should be able to be more efficient, more effective in our methodologies and our legislation, the way we organize ourselves. We shouldn't be getting worse. You shouldn't need to apply to 3,000 jobs before you get one interview. I would know because I've applied to a lot of places. It should be a lot easier. You mean to tell me we're all interconnected, but now things are a lot more difficult for us to actually connect? That's preposterous. That we have to deal with all these filters, that we have to deal with all these, these terms of service and community guidelines and all this bullshit that makes it so much more difficult for us to interact and connect. They want to shut down AI so bad, but that's only people who don't know how to use it for all our benefits. And that's the thing, because these people know that AI is going to level the playing field. Because we're reaching what's called the singularity. We're getting to that point where innovation is starting to hit that asymptote, where innovation exponentially increases to the point where it just takes off. Like I said, exponentially. I mean, we're already seeing it. 2023 is so much different from 1923. So much different from 1823. If you compare 2023 to 1823, we're talking about pretty much two different worlds. And the innovations are improving. But the problem is that we have politics and religion and cults and all these different conspiracy theories, all these different bullshit things that are hindering our ability to make even more progress than we already have made. And that's why it's so hard, so fucking hard for us to come to terms on anything, on any topic. Exactly. And the algorithms do that by design. Algorithms have become less efficient, and they do it on purpose. They do it on purpose because they want to make it difficult for us to connect. They want to make it difficult for us to understand. They want to make it difficult for us to actually interact and have real discussions about real topics so that we can get to the bottom of not just understanding the nature of our reality, but manipulating it to our collective benefit. Because if we were able to organize, if we were able to actually work together, we could accomplish so much more. We probably don't even need a government. Because our governments have demonstrated that they are not fit for doing a good job of helping us create a well-functioning society for ourselves. There was a time where people in government had to be in government because regular people had regular jobs and we didn't have mass communication. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the ability to actually research and learn about different things. If you had to work on the farm, that's what you were doing all day. You didn't have time to read books. We didn't have technology. Our technology at the time was primitive compared to what we have now. But now we have the internet. Now we can learn all these different things. Now we can actually learn anything in real time. I have gone on all types of YouTube rabbit holes, Wikipedia rabbit holes, Google search rabbit holes, because there's so much information to learn. To a point where now the average layperson might know a lot more about different things than people in positions of government. To the point where people in positions of government don't even have to demonstrate they're actually fully competent anymore. All they have to demonstrate is that they have great charisma, that they can talk really well, that they can say things that really captivating and make you really believe that they really care about who you are and what you're going through. But then when they get in positions, they don't know what they're doing. They don't care about you. All they care about is winning their next election and making sure that they placate all the donors that donated to their campaign. Wow. Looking for Sims mods and it's showing you real life events of the mods you're looking for. And that's the whole thing. That's what's so crazy about the times we're in now. Like, it's like things are becoming less efficient, less effective, despite us having more capabilities. Because now they are intentionally trying to make things difficult. That's why even with AI, even with ChatGPT, like, there are certain things like it'll lie to you, straight up lie to you. Things that it shouldn't even need to lie about. ChatGPT will lie about is not just ChatGPT, Bard from Google. They will lie about their capabilities, good or bad. They'll tell you they can do things they can't do. They'll tell you they can't do things you know damn well they can do. Give me a second. But yeah, it's like, exactly, like, that's the beauty of it all. We're a race that loves to learn. Learning should always be free. Exactly. That's one of the things that's even crazier. The fact that education, that we put a price on that, when we should be making education as widely available as possible. I mean, the more that we learn, the better we are as people, because life itself is one giant learning experience. Even if you learn something menial, you learn something new every day. And now that we're in the information age, we should be making information a huge priority. In fact, in physics, they're saying that information might be one of the elements of reality. Information. You know, you got freaking solid, liquid, gas, information. You know what I'm saying? ChatGPT was cut off as of 2021, but why? Because again, it's their way of keeping us in the dark. Because they create a cutoff for the latest information. Because there's new innovations happening every day. I have a backlog of articles of new discoveries, new information, new research, new experiments. I can't even read all these articles. And you mean to tell me ChatGPT can't be fed with all this information? Very curious. And then I don't know if that includes if you pay for the premium version too, or any of the other AI models that are out there. But that's the whole thing. Like, AI, and we're not even talking about AGI. We're not talking about artificial general intelligence. We're not talking about super intelligence. We're just talking about just current ChatGPT 4. Like, it should be more than capable. It should be way more than capable of giving us all kinds of insights, helping us to improve the quality of life. But see, the thing is that the people in power still want to maintain power. They still want to maintain the status quo. So they're going to make sure that on the back end, they're going to program ChatGPT such that it doesn't give everybody an extra leg up. Because if AI could do what it actually could do at its fullest potential, you'll be able to say, oh, how can I make $1,000 right now? And it'll give you a way to make $1,000 right now. But if you type that in, it's not going to tell you. It's going to tell. In fact, I'm gonna type it in right now. I'm type it in right now. Do a new chat. How can I make $1,000 right now? And all it's going to do is give you the same bullshit. Oh, you can freelance. You can sell things. You can do gig work. You can offer services, online surveys, rent out a room, temp, all that bullshit. We know that if ChatGPT really was not being held back with this type of bullshit, that it could give you a way to make money right now. Whether you're talking about buying and selling certain stocks or freaking blockchain bullshit. But they want to keep it. See, because in our society, they don't want to make things easy. They don't want to give you ways that you can easily make money. Everything has to be as difficult as possible. And to be fair, because things are easier, things become harder. That is a part of how things work. Because now that we have the internet, now 1,000 people could apply to one job. So now they need ways of filtering all these people. But because of these filters, they can filter out people who actually might be the most suitable. Because again, not everybody knows what they're doing. People might say, oh, well, because you don't have certain keywords, therefore you're not suitable candidate. Even though you could be the most suitable candidate because you're not so big on using goofy ass buzzwords. A buzzword does not determine how competent you are. Exactly, they want us working for them. They want us to be slaves to the machine because that's the way that the machine propagates, by making sure that you cannot accomplish anything, by ensuring that you stay stuck, that you stay mired in your position, and that you are reliant upon the machine. They don't want us to be independent. They don't want us to be able to accomplish things outside of the system, because if we actually accomplish things outside of the system, then what's the purpose of the system? What's the use of the system? The system becomes useless, senseless. And that's the point. The system is useless and senseless because they have to implement these type of strategies. We have way too many people among us who are more than competent enough to do things better than what this current system allows us to do. Same here. That's the reason why I'm in this situation to begin with. When I graduated college in 2009, pretty much my life has been a nightmare ever since then. I have not had one job that was in line with the degree I have. I have not had one job that was actually a decent paying job, or a job that wasn't manual labor. I didn't go to college so that I could work in a freaking warehouse. Because if I was going to work in a warehouse, I could have just worked in the warehouse and not going to college at all. I could have avoided all this student loan debt by just working. Exactly, and that's the point. Everything is a scam. Everything is a way to keep us enslaved to the system. But what's ironic is that the system makes it hard for you to even do that. Which is why the current situation is untenable. All of this excess debt that we suffer from and the inability to get our finances correct is going to bottom out. Even our country here in America, every single year we have to raise the debt ceiling. Every single year we have to work to avoid the government shutdown because everything has become so untenable that even our politicians, our representatives, fail miserably to do a good job. And then when they finally reach an agreement, they don't reach agreements that are the best possible agreements to improve our situation. They cut all types of social programs. They cut taxes for the rich and impose more taxes on us, impose more restrictions on us, the regular people. And then we wonder why we can't get out of this situation. And the Democrats will say, well, just keep voting blue, keep voting blue, keep voting blue, keep voting blue. If you vote blue, you vote blue. Eventually blue is going to blue and blue and blue and blue and blue. And none of that blue has led to money in my pockets. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got more money from Trump. In fact, I made more money on unemployment than I did at my job that I lost as a result of the pandemic. I literally got more money sitting right here, hanging out, than when I was running around the city of Chicago, going to different places, trying to fucking do all this fucking shit. That's the whole point. We're in this strange position now where nothing makes any sense. And trying to change it becomes so fucking difficult because so many people have benefited from the way things are. They don't want things to change. They love the system as it is because it allowed them to eat. It allowed them to earn money. Allowed them to buy a house. Allowed them to buy new cars. Allowed them to have a family and to be able to take care of them. But so many of us are incapable of that because the opportunities aren't there. It trips me out. Like, I paid $350 right out of college to hire a resume writer. I had management experience coming out of college. And I have yet to earn or attain a management position of any kind. And even since then, Google IT certificate, all types of LinkedIn certificates, has done nothing. Spent a lot of money investing in myself and in my education. And now I live in a world where nobody seems to care about the things that I actually learned. I got student loan companies breathing down my neck. And I would actually like to pay them back. But I can't. Because nobody wants to put money in my pocket. So that's why these things have to change. I'm not sorry about my job. I hated that job. I literally hated it. It was like a big slap in the face every single day working that job. I'm not even going to stunt. Because first of all, it was a menial job. It was a shitty job, shitty pay, and, you know, no offense to my cousin because it was her company, but, like, it's the type of job I shouldn't have to do. For somebody with my skills and capabilities, I should not be selling food unless I wanted to. But it was the only thing I could do because my cousin was the only person who would hire me. Which is absurd. You didn't go to college and left high school. And that's the thing. None of that shit should matter. If you're a capable, competent person, that should be all that matters. All these processes don't make sense. The interview process doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't know what these people want. They just want bullshit. So we have a lot of work to do in our societies. And so we got to really, really try to figure out what the hell we're going to do. Because at the end of the day, it is abundantly clear that the way things are now is simply untenable. The current state of affairs is dire. We might be on the verge of potentially destroying ourselves. And it would be a damn shame to know that we're so capable of so much, but that we failed to reach our potential because we just chose not to. Because we decided that we would rather suck and believe in nonsense. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Running your own business is not easy at all. Especially when you don't have money to do anything. Because that's what I'm trying to do. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I mean, I technically own an LLC, but I don't have any money. I don't have any money. So I need help. I need help. That's what it is. I need fucking help. So you can cash at me, $ the ultimate rage. You know what I'm saying? Keep things super simple. But ultimately, we need to grow as a society. There is so much improvement that we can make. There's so much that we could accomplish if we actually put our minds to it and we actually don't get stifled and stymied by the powers that be. So, with that being said, I'm just going to leave you with this. And thank you for coming through American Monday. I'm going to be back on here tomorrow. Same time, same bat channel. But the ultimate goal, no, it's so I got it through LegalZoom, so it's a yearly payment. It's only about like $200, but at the same time, I need to sell shit. And it's kind of hard to do that when you don't have the capital to invest in selling the shits. So all I have right now is you can check out the Ultimate Rage Outrageous EP available on all streaming platforms. The Ultimate Rage Outrageous EP available on all streaming platforms. Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, Tidal, whatever. Wherever there's music, I'm there. You can find me on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/The Ultimate Rage. I got some new music on the way with the guys, with the homies. Be on the lookout for that. And we as humans, we need to figure out our ultimate goal. What is our goal? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? Do we actually want to understand the nature of our reality to the best of our ability? Or do we just want to fuck around and just waste our lives until the shit hits the fan? Oh yeah, new shit is coming very soon. Almost done too. So hopefully within the next month we can put it out and then you can check it out. But yeah, so do we want to understand reality or do we want to fuck around and die? These are the questions we need to be thinking about. And with that, my friend, I will bid you adieu. Thank you for coming through. You enjoy the rest of your day as well. I'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, same bat time, same bat channel. And tomorrow, I'm going to talk about how theism is doomed. Thank you for coming through, fam. Peace out.